Hello friends, this is Sam Cheney reporting for WeaponizedNews.com. Today is March 22nd, 2017, 322. We'll get to that. Drudge Report, Jihad at UK Parliament. 3 killed, many injured in London. House spy agencies rushed to track down identity of killer. 4 tourists caught in Bedlam. Hours of waiting and wondering. Attack hands. May her first security crisis. ISIS celebrates. Blood for blood. Flashback going to see black flag of Sharia over Windsor Castle. Let's try to figure out what the heck happened. Many conflicting reports. First, this flashback to the mayor of London, Sadiq Khan. London mayor says terror attacks part and parcel of living in a major city. And this is published out of the UK Independent back in September of 2016. So was it a Muslim attacker? There was a case of mistaken identity, confusion over identity of London terrorist suspect as previously named Abdul Izzadeen is in prison. The hate preacher, previously named Trevor Brooks, was being blamed for this early on. This man right here. But apparently, he's in prison, so he couldn't have done this attack. More. Sick and depraved London terror attack. Victim named as Westminster officer PC Keith Palmer. As Theresa May condemns attack on Parliament that killed 5. So what exactly happened? Married police officer who was killed by Islamist terrorists as the death toll rises to 5 with 20 injured, including French students and Korean tourists. 4-wheel drive was driven over Westminster Bridge, knocking down pedestrians this afternoon. Victims were said to have been left scattered in the road, with one woman knocked into the River Thames. Emergency services treated at least 40 injured people on the bridge, with 3 people killed. Quote, Asian knife man got into the grounds of Parliament where he stabbed and killed a police officer. Met Police named the officer as, again, Kenneth Palmer, 48, who had served with the force for 15 years. The middle-aged attacker was then shot by armed police officers and died after being taken to the hospital. Police believe attacker to be a lone wolf, as confirmed by Prime Minister Theresa May tonight. Parliament was suspended and the Prime Minister was rushed from the scene in her official car. So did that really happen? Was this a false flag attack? Was this a real attack? Either way, it was a false flag, because if it was radical Islamic terrorism, it was caused by the government allowing the fomentation of this through the refugee crisis and continuing to coddle radical Muslim extremism while they pretend that the surveillance security state is for our protection. These attacks somehow seem to keep happening. And oh yeah, Britain is a gun-free zone. Guns are banned there. But yet, this terrorist killed 5 people, injured 40 with a car and a knife. So of course today is March 22nd, 322. Was this a false flag by Skull and Bones Illuminati? Was this a blood sacrifice ritual? I'm not going to get into that in this report, but I want you to be aware of this. 322 does have dark occultic undertones. Was it this? The president of Turkey. Turkey threatens Europeans. You will not walk safely in the streets if current attitudes persist. having already told Europe we'll blow your mind with a threat to unleash 15,000 immigrants per month, the Turkish President Erdogan escalated his rhetoric this morning, warning Europeans across the world would not be able to walk safely on the streets if they kept up their current attitude. So you've got this radical Muslim extremist, the president of Turkey, threatening Europe. You've got this Muslim mayor saying it's part and parcel of living in a major city, terrorist attacks. He's referencing the New York City bombing here, but easily could be talking about London. So you've got the president of Turkey, the mayor of London, both Muslims, not denouncing radical Islamic extremism, saying you need to learn to live with it. I mean, and the Turkey president's outright threatening Europe with an immigrant invasion and saying it's not safe to walk on your streets. Amazing. More headlines. 4 tourists caught in London Bedlam. Hours of waiting and wondering. Tourists were caught up in these gondola rides. The terrorism doing what it's meant to do, cause chaos and fear. London attack hands Theresa May her first security crisis. British Prime Minister must juggle response to suspected terror incident even as Brexit talks set to begin. Was this a warning from the EU, from the Illuminati, to back off trying to leave? Was it ISIS? Radical Islamic extremist. ISIS and Islamist website celebrate blessed London terror attack. I mean, there's a lot going on. There's a lot we don't know. We're waiting for the true identity of the attacker or attackers. Plural, more than one possibly. They're saying it's a lone wolf. Something's always sketchy when they start talking about that. ISIL supporters cheer Westminster attack as revenge for British air strikes on Syria. Was it because the West, Britain, and the rest of the Western NATO alliance is over there doing airstrikes against ISIS in Syria? Was it retaliation for that? Here's the supposed lone wolf. Doesn't look very Asian to me. There's close-up pictures of him. Looks like a black man. Flashback to March 2016. British extremist films pro-jihad screened on open street with passers-by. And of course, this is the 1-year anniversary of the Brussels bombings. You got this crazy radical Islamic extremist talking about they're going to fly the flag of ISIS over Westminster. So, what do we make of this? Here's photos. There's the police officer that died. What are we to make of this? It was 322. Skull and Bones Illuminati. Dark occultic ritual day. You got Muslims, the president of Turkey, the mayor of London, saying live with it. President of Turkey threatening Europeans. Here's a map of how it happened. Drove across this bridge and ran a bunch of people over outside of Parliament. There's the wrecked car. Pedestrians dead. So will we, in the United States, continue to accept open borders, no vetting of possible radical Muslim extremists coming into this country? Will we continue to accept it? Because this is the result. Maniac who knifed Britain in the heart. Was this a lone wolf? Was this part of ISIS? Again, was this part of Skull and Bones Illuminati? Was this a lone wolf? Was it a coordinated attack? We just don't know. Any way you slice it, it was a false flag because they've allowed, the UK government has allowed this to happen. Do not allow this to happen again in the United States. Secure our borders, properly vet refugees and immigrants that are coming into this country. It's completely and utterly ridiculous, or will be a false flag in the United States. That is no one else's fault but our own government's. I'll continue to report about this story as the identity of the terror suspect is revealed. But it certainly appears to be jihad at UK Parliament, with the threats from the London mayor and the president of Turkey, and obviously ISIS. Do your own research, subscribe to this channel, speak out and take action.